All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Um, there are only a few students online, but we're going to proceed. Please remind me to take the attendance register at the end. Very important. So we're quickly going to reflect on chapter on test two. That was conducted last week. So before we get to test two, just just a quick reminder in terms of the assignment submission deadline. Please ensure that you submit your assignment on time. So yeah, so that we don't have any issues there. Um, in terms of test three, quickly, test three, the date of the schedule, the scheduled date of test three, it's I think it's on the 27th of October. And it was brought to my attention that the ops group, so it seems like it's you guys already have an exam on that very same day. So that is a statistics exam. So in that case, we'll be forced now to change the date of our test three assessment, test three. So what is going to happen is that I'm planning to, because initially start was on the 31st of October. So that means that we can use that initial date of statistics and conduct our test on that day. So now I cannot just also shift it like that. I need to double check with the transportation group on APB and obviously with the management services, so that once we shift, we know that there are no clashes afterwards. So yeah, that's what I'm planning to do. You're also going to check your exam timetable. If you guys have any other exams planned on that very same day, on the 31st, and also confirm the one for statistics, so that when we shift the date, we won't be having any complaints or any issues. So for now, we can play around with the date and all that because I haven't booked anything. So once we have agreed that, okay, the 31st is suitable for all of us, and then I will book that venue and also book the invigilators. And from there, we cannot change anymore. So yeah, so you guys have to check your exam timetable, and then you can send me an email, or you can let me know on Thursday when we meet face to face. Right. So that is very important because I need to get that this week so that I can plan everything accordingly, especially in terms of booking the venue and the invigilators. So guys, you have until Thursday, né? Until Thursday to double check whether you have issues with test two. So you will need to check your electronic script. If there are any issues, changes, need to bring them to my attention, and then we're going to address them, because past Thursday, I won't change anything on test two anymore, because the faculty is putting us under pressure to capture the student marks on the system. So Friday, I'll release the mark, or I'll capture them on the system. And if you come after that with your issues, I'm not going to update anything. So I'm giving you guys an opportunity to double check your marks. And then, yeah, we're going to address them. on Thursday or before Thursday. Friday, I'll be uploading everything online. Sorry. All right. So with that being said, let's quickly reflect on test 2, because I believe similar questions. I'm not saying the same questions, but similar questions are still going to come in test 3. So if we can reflect on this, and you're going to get an edge when it's time to write test 3. All right, so let me share one of, I downloaded one of the scripts belonging to a student. Obviously, I have hidden the student's details so that you guys don't see the student. And I will use this script as an example. All right. So let me share my screen quickly. All right. So I believe my screen is visible now. So yeah, just give me a minute there. There are students who are making noise in front of my door. Let me just try to make a bit of order, and I'll come back. All right. So what is going to happen here? We're going to make use of this student's script. If I remember correctly, I think this student got something like 17 or 18 or 15, something around that. All right, so he failed this module badly, and this was amongst the lowest marks for this test 2. So let's just review a few questions in relation to the theory, and then after also review a few questions in relation to the calculations. So let's look at question 1. It says, which of the following is specifically characterized? Can I zoom it in a little bit? Which of the following is specifically characterized by the elimination of waste through a focus on exactly what the customer wants? So the interesting part with this, I don't know if you guys remember when I say that you need to be able to describe just in time. You need to be able to describe total production system, so TPS, and you should also be able to describe lean operations. So once you are able to differentiate these three, you should be able to answer this kind of questions. But if you don't know, you won't be able to answer the questions. So you can see this guy, he said that the answer here is material requirement planning, MRP. I never stress on MRP. I don't know if I even mentioned MRP now. Maybe I did, but I didn't explain MRP the same way I explain just in time, TPS, and lean operations. So this is just to confuse you. And when you look at this this question here, if you know how to describe, or if you know what just in time is, you know what Toyota production system is, and you know what lean operations management is, it's easy for you to pick the correct answer. We say that just in time focuses, it's a continuous improvement philosophy, right? Focuses on reducing inventory or optimizing inventory, right? So getting it done there first time, getting it right the first time. So you have continuous improvement and reducing inventory or optimizing inventory. Now, TPS focuses on people, employees, providing them with um, the work standard that the company wants and upskilling employees. So the focus is on employees so that they can perform according to the company's standards. Now, lean operations focuses on the customer, so providing the customer with what it wants without waste, right? So the exact product to the customer. So now, if we look at this statement here, it's a focus on exactly what the customer wants, and you know that lean operation is mostly about dealing with the customers, and that's why the correct answer here is lean operations. So if you are not able to differentiate the three, so that is going to be a problem, and that's the same problem that this guy had during the test. So he went and used material requirement plan. You can see we're just guessing, right? He didn't know what to do there. So let's just look at the next question in this script. So which of the following best describe vertical integration? So vertical integration, we know that it could be backward or forward, right? Now, when you look at this statement here, say develop the ability to produce product that complement the original product. Not really that, because here it's talking about developing the ability. Can you see? But when you're talking about vertical integration, you're talking about purchasing a supplier or a distributor. So meaning that previously this company used to get the product from their suppliers or get some activities done by a distributor. Right? They say produce goods or services previously purchased. So this sound likely to respond to the vertical integration concept. Produce good or service previously purchased. If you look at the build long-term partnership with a few suppliers, again, this guy was just guessing, didn't know what vertical integration is. Sell products to supplier or distributors. You see, this is not making sense. Yeah, again, it talks about developing the ability, which is not. So the answer that is most likely to describe vertical integration is B. And that's why here you have this correct answer here. So again, let's look at the next question quickly. Hey, by the way, if you guys have questions, please feel free to let me know. This is just we are refreshing your mind, just reflecting on what you guys have already done. Obviously, some of you got these answers correct because I think the couple of students we got even 100%. So I'm not saying that everyone got this thing wrong. No, some who did very, very well. Again, the majority did very, very bad. So I think this is going to benefit them a lot. Question number 3 says, which of the following is specifically characterized by a focus on continuous improvement, respect for people, and standard work practices? So once you have seen this respect for people, this is telling you about TPS because the focus is on the employees so that they can perform according to the organization's standard, work standard, or practices, right? So this is TPS. And this guy went straight and say it's just in time, which is wrong, right? So that is TPS, Toyota Production System. And some of these questions, I even shared them with you. Obviously, I didn't give you guys the answers, but some of them, they were already there. So it was now up to you to try them on your own. And you should have come and, discuss with me based on the answers that you provided by practicing at home. But you guys didn't do that. And some of the question came back. And unfortunately, some of you Didn't do anything there. So let's look at this question again before we move on to the calculations. Outsourcing. A. Transfer traditional internal activity to outside vendors, which is correct, right? It's correct. This somehow describes how some part of outsourcing. B. Utilizes the efficiency that comes with specialization. Again, this is correct when it comes to outsourcing. C. Allows the outsourcing firm to focus on its key success factors. Again, this is correct. So now you have A, that is correct. You have B, that is correct. C is correct. And D now says all of the above are true of outsourcing. So you can see this is the answer that is most likely to answer to describe outsourcing, because this statement is true, this one is true, this one is true. So this one also is true, but it includes all this statement. So this one is the correct answer. And that's why we have all the above are true of outsourcing. Interesting stuff. So this guy just say that A is correct. If you say A is correct, fine, you're right. What about B? What about C? And what about D? So let's just try to be careful when we are answering the questions. All right. So let's look at this one quickly. So which of the following is specifically characterized by continuous and force problem solving via a focus on throughput and reduced inventory? Once you see reduced inventory like this tells you that we are talking about just in time. Reduced inventory, just in time. This guy says it's lean operation. Can you see? This is a guessing strategy that was happening here during this test, right? So it's just in time the correct answer. Right, so the rest obviously you have the memo here below. So you will double check, and you can also make use of the textbook just to confirm, right? So yeah, let's quickly now go to uh, a section, the calculation section, so that we can reflect on a few calculations there. I think from this script here is that from 20, from here, yeah, start from here, from question 26. Now, let's look at this first question here. This question was paving the way for the test for this guy. And it's also, it was a good question because once you get this question correct, that shows that you know at least the main formula here when it comes to calculating the EOQ, sorry, or the Q, or when it comes to calculating the carbon size, if you are using the EOQ formula. Sorry. So yeah, I say, what is the formula for optimal setup cost? I mean, after practicing, trying the examples that we did in class, this was supposed to be automatic. You're supposed to know this. And out of 3 marks, I think these 3 marks were just given away. So if you knew your things, q power of 2 times h between bracket 1 minus d divided by p, everything divided by 2d. That is the correct answer. So now you can see this guy's foundation is very wrong. He say that this is the correct answer. But since he has chosen that this is the correct answer for him or for her, that means the next question definitely is going to be wrong because you are going to make use of this formula. And that is exactly what you are going to see here. So the correct answer in this case here is this one, which is in this case here is D. Right. That is the setup cost. Now let's look at the second question. Here the question is out of 5 marks. So after identifying the correct formula, the application will take place right here. Yeah, it says, what is the setup cost based on the desired lot size? Fill in the blank with your final answer, just to remind you that you must not use the unit. And yet it says, express your answer correctly to 3 decimal places. So obviously in the main instructions, you are saying, otherwise indicated, express your answers correctly to 2 decimal places. They say otherwise indicated. So that means that specific questions could carry specific instructions. Like in this case here, we have specific instructions. Say express your answer correctly to 3 decimal places. For this answer, you must use 3 decimal places. For other questions where you don't have specific instructions, you must use 2 decimal places. So here we are calculating the setup cost. So meaning that you are going to make use of the answer that you gave in the first question of the calculation. So here of this section. So this guy here says that the answer is 0.022. Okay, we understand because it doesn't know the formula or is using the incorrect formula. Therefore, his answer here would definitely be wrong. Now, we say that the main formula here, this is the formula. So Q power of 2 times H 1 between bracket 1 minus D small divided by small p and the everything divided by 2D. So if you look at this statement or this table, you have everything that you need in order to answer the question. The Q, this is the Q, so 200. Here you have H. H here is 10. So between bracket, it's 1 minus D. So small d here is 100 divided by P, right? P here is the daily production. So here is 8. So divided by 2D. So D here is the annual demand. So 2 times this. So you can see everything we have here, just the application of the formula. But if you don't know the formula, obviously you're gonna see flames, right? So, or you were going to see flames. So here, this is what is represented here. So you perform your calculations properly here. You would be able to come up with 5.738, right? And even if you got, let's say, 5.7385, what, a lot of numbers there, but you just need to provide your answers correctly to 3 decimal places according to the instruction. So that's what we are supposed to do in this question. And this question was out of 5 marks. So this guy lost 5 marks like that. All right. Now, some student got confused there because the next question is still the same statement. Guys, please make sure that your mics are off. It's still the same statement, right? But different questions. So here the question is now saying, what is the setup time in minutes? So you're going to express your answer in minutes, right? So you have to calculate the setup time. And you know that for you to calculate the setup time, you need to calculate the setup cost, and then you use the labor rate in order to calculate the setup time. So basically, setup cost divided by the labor rate in order for you to get the setup time. And here it says that in minutes. So meaning that after taking the setup cost divided by the setup by the labor rate, your answer is directly in hour, and you will need to convert that into minutes, and that will be your final answer. This guy got 88,000. That's a lot. Okay. So let's see. The previous question, you have already calculated the setup cost. So we're going to make use of the labor rate. Now, the interesting part here is that here you don't have any instructions here that is telling you take 3 or 4 decimal places. Therefore, the initial instructions in terms of the number of decimal places to take would apply right here. So that means we are going to use 2 decimal places. So in our previous questions, we got the setup cost was 5.738. So we're gonna take 2 decimal places. So just round it off 3 into 4. So becomes 5.74, and now divided by the labor rate, which is 40. And that will give us 0.1435. Even if you don't want to run off, that's fine. Can run off completely after doing your calculations here. So here this gives us 0.1435 hours, right? So you take this hours times 60 so that you can get your answer in minutes. Right, so that's why you have 0.1435 times 60 to convert these hours into minutes, and that gives us 8.40. So in this case here, provided you guys were not supposed to see this, but it's fine because these are the settings that when I'm writing the test, I set a range whereby the system can accept your answers. So here, for instance, even if you said your answer is 8.42, for instance, right? Or 45, the system should mark you correct. And even if you see the answer is 8.35, still the system is going to mark you correct, right? And I did that because of this rounding off from here, just to accommodate any rounding off, I mean, within this range, not beyond, because if you go beyond, the system will mark you wrong. But anyway, this, you guys were not supposed to see this. I just made a mistake there because these are my settings. All right, so the answer is 8.40. That was the answer. And obviously this guy got 8,000, and it's understandable because the foundation is wrong in terms of the formula. So this guy cannot get anything right. So let's quickly look at this one here. It says, given the following information about the product, what is the appropriate setup cost? So again, here we are calculating the setup cost, right? So setup cost, that means that you are going to make use of the EOQ formula, right? Q equals to square root of 2ds over 8 between bracket 1 minus d divided by p, and then you close the bracket. So that is the formula that is used here. Oh no, sorry. That is the main formula, but we are calculating the setup cost. So since it's the setup cost, you know that the setup cost derives from that main formula. So the setup cost here is q power 2 times h, right? Times h, and then between bracket you have 1 minus d divided by p, everything divided by 2 times d, right? So that's what you have here, and that will give us the setup cost. Now your answer will be written without the unit, right? So simple stuff, straightforward. And you find out that some of the questions here, we have already dealt with them in class. If you go to your activities or online, you might find them. Now, in this question here, I say, what is the appropriate setup time in hours? So it's still the same question, right? But now we're going to calculate the setup time. So here we have already calculated the setup cost. So now we're going to calculate the setup time. So setup time, you take the setup cost divided by the labor rate, which is provided here. And here they say in hours. So that means our first answer here, we don't need to do anything because that is already expressed in hour. Right, so 0.08. And this was the answer. And this guy got 4, which is completely wrong. Maybe this 4 is also coming from his or her previous answer. Right. So I want to take you to another question quickly. Okay, these are, the same questions that you guys may know how to do, because here we needed to determine the number, how many days does the firm operate per year. So if you already have the annual demand, you have the daily demand, you take the annual demand divided by the daily demand, that gives you the number of days that the firm operates. All right. So the other question that I wanted to take you through quickly, I think is this one here. This question 33 out of 5 marks, which I believe was also straightforward if you knew your things. So in this question here, it says that lead time for computers is 5 days with daily demand of 25 and safety stock of 5 computers. If management wants you to use 10 Kanbans, how many computers should each one hold? So since the question is asking how many computers should each one hold, so this is the capacity. So we are looking for the Kanban size. Right. Now, there are 2 ways where you can calculate the Kanban size based on the information at hand. So, one of the ways that I told you is that Kanban size, let me do this. That one is too big. No, 0. Okay. So Kanban size, let's say Q as Kanban size is equals to the Q or the EOQ, right? And is equals to 2D as, you guys know that formula, right? Divided by H between brackets, you're gonna have 1 minus G divided by P. Right, so this is one way where you can calculate the Kanban size when all the information is there. The other way is that we know that number of Kanban is equals to demand during lead time plus safety stock divided by Kanban size. Right, so you have two ways here. Now, what you're gonna do here is that it will depend on the statement or the information at hand, which one you can use. Because you have Kanban size here, you also have Kanban size here. According to the statement that you have here, we don't even have the holding cost, right? So do we have yeah, we don't have the holding cost. So in this case here, it could be a serious issue for you to use this formula. Therefore, we're going to make use of this formula here, and we're going to pull this Kanban size. Therefore, so the formula now will become like this. Kanban size is equals to demand during lead time plus safety stock and now divided by the number of Kanbans. So this is the only variable that you are looking for. So that means that we should be able to find this variable or the value of safety stock and the number of Kanbans. So looking at this statement here, looking at this statement here, demand during lead time is equals to daily demand times lead time. So here we have lead time of 5 computers and the daily demand of 25. So 25 times 5, that is 125. So that is the 125 that you have here. And safety stock is 5. So plus 5 for safety stock. So 125 plus 5 and divided by the number of Kanban. Say if management want to use 10 Kanban, so this is the number of Kanban. So that's why you have 10 here. So do your calculations and you'll be able to come up with 13, and 13 is the correct answer. This guy got 1.67. We don't know how he came up with this answer. Only himself can explain. Right. So that is how you were supposed to, deal with the question, especially this question. So the rest of the questions here, guys, you're going to try them on your own, right? Like this one here. Say what is the optimal Kanban size? So again, you are going to check whether you're going to use the EOQ formula or the Q formula, or you're going to use the number of Kanban formula. So this will depend on the information that you have. All right, so whatever, if you see like you have the holding cost and all those things, that tells you that you're going to use the main formula. So you have the answers here, right? Please try this again, especially in preparation to test 3, because these are the similar questions that you are going to, you're going to have the questions along these lines, where you need to calculate number of Kanban size, and all those things, right? So, yeah. And I think this also gonna help you guys in terms of, going to look for past papers and all that. Because the truth is, if you are able to understand the few things that you have discussed in class, you should be able to, overcome this test, even the test that is coming. But the problem is that you guys are always looking for past papers. One, you are still struggling to understand the activities that we did in class, but you're already aiming for previous exams. So, yeah, I think the rest here, guys, you're going to reflect on your own. As I said, please go and double check your script. If there are any issues there, you can let me know on Thursday, or you can drop in an email with your screenshot. You can also check because there could be an error, right? Especially when I'm capturing the correct responses or answers, there could be an error. So just double check everything. And on Thursday or before Thursday, you let me know. Friday, I will upload everything. And then, yeah. Any questions? So I think everything is in order. It was just a reflection on that test. Now, what is going to happen here, guys? We need to be a bit serious with the attendance register. So I'm going to generate it now. And in the meantime, you are also preparing your device in order to, record your attendance. So let's just make it fast so that you can record your attendance, because this might play a role toward the end of the season, I mean of the semester, once your marks are released or when we are finalizing your final marks. So let me stop the recording so that you can check attendance. Stop. Uh, Stop the recording and